So this is a topic that I love to talk about. The inspiration came many, many years ago. After so many years, my wife decided to study art, and she got prepared and passed the skill test at the art school at the Çukurova University in southern Turkey, and got admitted to the art school. She picked up the sculptor division, and she had not done anything in terms of sculpting. She was painting. However, that was what she wanted to do. So, and she showed some skills, and they were impressed. And she got it. And I was always interested in art myself. I have always been interested in art myself. I leisurely painted during the Gulf War. Life stopped in Turkey, and people were scared that Saddam would send his missiles to Turkey for whatever reason. Even though the war was actually on the southern border of the country. Anyways, I had a lot of time, so I started to paint on my own. So I have a taste of practicing in an artful way. And of course, those were the times that I had recently started collecting coins. I was looking at coins, enjoying the art on the coins that I acquired. And as many of you know, in Turkey, to collect coins, you need to register with a local museum, and you have to take photographs. So, you know, it was part of the practice, taking photographs, examining coins, writing descriptions, this and that. So my interest grew naturally without really intending to going into that. And then the wife would come home, and she would talk about certain art concepts that she was learning in class. That perspective was discovered during the 18th century by such and such. The art form of such and such were discovered during the Renaissance. I said, wait a minute, that's not true. All of those things that you're talking about are very well represented on ancient coins thousands of years ago, 2,000, 2,500 years ago. They were not invented during the Renaissance or after the Renaissance, during the Enlightenment or anything else. And then I started to show her coins that I meant. And then, so she mentioned that to her professor, and the professor was interested. And those were the times that we used slide machines. So I took some slide photos and gave them a talk. That was my first talk on art on ancient coins. That would have been 1997, I believe. And then, of course, computers, PCs came along, PowerPoint took over, and now I have this here, the final version with you. And of course, each year I add something new. So the word art is derived from the Latin ars. It originally meant skill or craft, more like craft, not really skill. Or when it comes to skill, crafty skill, not artful skill. And then the words artifact and artisan derived from the same source. So here is one of the earliest representations of a human figure from so many years, thousands of years ago. It was meant to be displayed, and by the standards of our understanding today, we would call it a work of art. Why do I say that? Because it has obsidian eyes. It has a kind of necklace. There is some kind of an ornamentation, whether this figure is wearing something with a double V type of necklace or neck, or it was a kind of necklace. And then this person is holding his pulse. So there is an action. The person is not stable. The person is giving a message. So this is exactly what you would call an art piece in the modern sense. But was the concept of art recognized many, many thousands of years ago as it is conceived in our minds today? Of course, this is 1.80 centimeters, you know, a regular human size, one of the earliest. According to the Turkish archaeologists, it is the earliest life-size statue of a human figure. And it would be called public art, in my view, because it was, I'm sure it was not owned by one person, but it was displayed in a place where many people could view it. But during the excavations at Neolithic sites like Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe in southeastern Anatolia, they found smaller objects in graves and in small dwellings that, you know, they would call individual houses. So people developed a taste for art as early as 10,000 BC, we can say. And the artwork, the concept of art is actually as old as the human civilization. But then, of course, you have objects of daily use, as you see here on the right-hand side. I bet they were created by the same artists who created these small animal figures or this life-size statue. So the concept of art is really a compelling idea. In our mind, we have a subtle difference between an artist and artisan. For some reason, in our mind, an artist is a more esteemed individual than an artisan. An artisan is someone who will create something that we will enjoy on a daily basis without really displaying it for the pleasure of our eyes. However, if it is an artwork, we have developed this concept of displaying it for the pleasure of it, which we see 10,000 years BC, people did the same thing. And there is no concrete definition for the concept of art. It is conceived in the mind of everyone very differently. I went to the Modern Art Museum in San Francisco about 5 or 6 years ago. I was not really impressed myself, you know, having so much appreciation to ancient art, but it was incredible. So many people visited, and everybody, and I read reviews, everybody loved it. So it is, art is quite an abstract feeling about the way things are expressed in the mind of different people. And when it comes to public art, you can have a piece like that, and then you can have a piece like this. One is from Samothrace from the 3rd century BC, the Nike, very well-known sculpture. And then this one is very well known in the lower mainland in British Columbia, BC. So perceptions in modern societies, a painting may be a pure art, while a chair, though designed to be set in, may include artistic elements. Yet it is not art. And also fine art, less functional value or intention, craft, objects of artistic merit but serve a functional purpose. Those are the definitions that you can find in dictionaries. So Samothrace is such a small island in the North Aegean Sea. And here we have Vancouver, we have this. And then the representation of this incredible statue of the Nike on a coin from the 2nd century BC or 3rd century BC. So art or craft. What was the intention of the early vase painters? And was it different from that we see in modern times? This is the Seljuk tile from the 11th century AD. And here is public art from the Vancouver Art Gallery, right next to the Vancouver Art Gallery. And here is one from a Roman period copy of an original Greek one. So here, a painting by Cézanne from 1888. And it was sold for $250 million, approximately 339 million now. That was the price in 2011. And I checked yesterday if another art piece was sold for more than 339 million. No, this is still the most expensive artwork sold in the art market. So these are the concepts that we have to keep in mind when we look at ancient art. And here is an incredible statue of Augustus from the 1st century AD, Prima Porta. And here is what Lucian of Samosata said about a sculptor's life. This is 2nd century AD. If you become a stone cutter, you will be nothing more than a workman, doing hard physical labor. Doing hard physical labor is the key in the Roman elite circles. You will be obscure, earning a small wage, a man of low esteem, classed as worthless by public opinion. That's really interesting. So you create such an art piece and you are worthless by public opinion. And neither courted by friends, feared by enemies, nor envied by your fellow citizens, but just a common workman, a craftsman, a face in a crowd, one who makes his living with his hands. I believe there is a certain degree of exaggeration here. Maybe he had an issue with a sculpture or something. However, there must be a certain degree of truth in what he explained here. And also here you have two extraordinary examples of the classical Greek art, you would call, by Phidias and also Polykleitos. Phidias is known as the sculptor of the famous Zeus of Olympia. And Polykleitos is the sculptor of Hera and other works. Now, if we go to Plutarchus in his Life of Pericles, this is what he says. It does not necessarily follow that if a work is delightful because of its gracefulness, the man who made it is worthy of our serious regard. No gifted young man, upon seeing the Zeus of Phidias at Olympia or the Hera of Polykleitos at Argos, ever actually wanted to be Phidias or Polycletus. So after Lucian, we hear something similar by Pericles as well. This is really, by Plutarchus as well. This is really curious. And here he continues on to say, no matter how useful or how beautiful the object, how essential to the physical or spiritual needs, this is interesting, he underlines the physical or spiritual needs. So now we understand that certain works were created for physical or spiritual needs of the people of their time, of the individual or community for whom it was made, be it hunting, knife, defense tower, or gold and ivory cult statue. The maker was no way admirable. So the general understanding is actually towards craftspeople or artists in our modern definition of these people was not really so impressive. Yet we have artists, and we have always had artists, and I'm sure we will always have artists, no matter how developed AI can be during these days. So artist or craftsperson. Here is an artist at work, a modern artist. It's heavy work, I can tell you. I was with this person while creating this piece of art. It took days, a lot of dust and sweat and you know, injuries, cutting your hand and hitting your toes to here and there. It's heavy work, and so I can really relate to what the ancient authors said about artists or craftspeople. But just like this person is doing here, the ancient coin artists or coin die engravers must have worked in similar ways, starting with an idea, derived from a concept, and then drawing a sketch, and then starting sculpting it in a certain size that they can easily see the details or create the details, so that they can continue working and start engraving a coin die. So this is about 14 or 15 centimeter in millimeter. It's quite big compared to a 30 millimeter coin. However, an ancient coin die engraver must have worked in a similar way before they started engraving a coin die. So, so the line between art and craft, back to that discussion, even though ancient authors think lowly about these artists or craftsmen, they were always proud of their work. How do we know that? Because they, from early on, they started to sign their works of art. This is a very early example, a triangle base for a chorus dedicated by the Naxian sculptor Epichartides on Delos. That is 7th century BC. That's very, very interesting. And those black painted vases, you always see the artist's signature. These people, oops. There it is. So these people were really proud of their work, and they had the audacity, or they were given the permission to sign these artworks. This is also really interesting. So in the mind of modern historians, art historians, sometimes these artists were thought to be slaves or very low-grade citizens or people. However, some of these people were audacious enough or powerful enough to put their names on their artwork. So we have to look at these, or look at ancient art from a broader perspective, but not just, you know, what one historian wrote about who, because we're talking about art history of thousands of years, and many things might have happened, and establishing certain facts is not so easy. So sure enough, we see coin die engravers who proudly sign their works on small miniature works of art that they created. This is famous Syracuse decadron signed by Kimon. He was so well known that he only used his initial on the headband. And then he used one of the dolphins to put his full name. And the same goes on here on a coin from Camarina, that's also in Sicily. And you have the signature of the coin die engraver Exakestadai. So these people had these people were given the authority, the freedom to sign their works of art. There are a number of coins in so many different places, not only in Sicily, but in other parts of the ancient Mediterranean, where coin die engravers proudly displayed their names on coins. So this one is really interesting. This is from Crete, city called Aptera, 4th century BC. We have the head of Artemis Aptera here. And we have a name here. It's not the name of the city. And then we have a Stephanie ornamented with palmettes, and then a crescent and solar disk pendant here with 3 drops. And then pearl necklace. It's a very, very nicely created art piece. On another example, we see the name of the city, Aptarayon. And on the front side of the face, to me, it is the prime space on a coin. The artist had the audacity or the freedom to engrave his name. So this is really interesting. The reverse is also extremely impressive. On the reverse is the hero of the city, Ptoloikos. As you can see, Ptoloikos is engraved, and you have a tree here. So when you look at the description, the auction description, it says Ptoloikos standing facing head left, wearing crested helmet and cuirass, holding spear and shield decorated with a sunburst. His right hand is raised towards a sacred fir tree. Do you really think that he's greeting or raising his hand towards a fir tree here? I believe there's something else going on, but the person who wrote the description was not an art historian, and he didn't know how to interpret what was displayed here. In my view, the fir tree represents something else, and it is in a distance. that's why it is small. And the hero is displayed before the tree, and the tree is quite far away, and to show the grandeur, the greatness of the hero. The tree is not right next to him, but the die engraver is telling us that this was a great hero. And even a big tree in the distance was smaller than he was. So the art is quite descriptive, or artworks can be quite descriptive if we know how to look at it. Here is another one. This time, the coin die engraver not only put his name, but he literally said, Nawantos made this. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a better example of this coin. In some collections, in some museum collections, there must have been a better preserved one with the full legend. But this one, you can only see Ne-Y part, Neantos Epoi made this. So he went beyond just putting his name. Maybe during his time, people thought, it was just an obscure name, and he wanted to make sure that they understood what he meant. Not just his name, but he said, I made this. So again, this is how an engraver would start working, creating art. Just wanted to give you an example of these small works of art. Use of space. They were experts from the beginning. Yes, we see some issues on Lydian electrum issues, but soon enough, coin die engravers improved their skills, and they learned how to use the space in the most efficient way and create art based on the limitations of the space. First, they created a dotted border. So they determined the limits. The dotted border served to two purposes. One, determining the limit of the space. Second, it was grabbing the flan between the dies when they struck. Those were the borders that would keep the flan between the two dies. But going back to space, so this dotted border gave us the space to work. As you see, the horse's front legs are up using the border, and the flying Nike is within the curve of the upper side of the border. The figure here is slightly bending, as you see. That's the limitation. It's not awkward. However, if this person were to stand up straight, she would have been out of the border. The artist was skillful enough to use the space in such way without giving us any awkward feeling, but this person is galloping quadriga, and this is the posture that she would take, and we find it normal. And on the other side, on the reverse, in this case, we see a figure. This is much easier to carve, I believe, but then the die engraver decided to use some sea creatures in such way, three of them around the head, and then the legend on the top. As you see, the engraver created a kind of diamond shape to enclose the the bust in the middle. Okay, so going again, so I showed you some examples from the classical period. You might simply say, oh, that was the height of the artistic merit in ancient Greek art. How about the late Roman period? I believe the artists of the late Roman period were as skillful, as artful as the classical period. I, again, believe that the artistic taste changed, expectations changed, culture changed, and the artists of the late Roman period created art based on the expectations of their time. You have now low relief with almost line drawing effect, yet everything is in its place. Use of space and movement are the same. The idea of using this space, there is movement in the way figures are depicted. So nothing changed. And the way they use the legend to complete the figure is the same. So creating a coin die, the concept of creating a coin die didn't change over the centuries. On early coins, we see the reflections of the Hittite and Phrygian art. Here you see the head of a roaring lion on early Lydian electrum. And here you see a Hittite relief. And then here is a Phrygian ram and lion vessels from Gordian. They all look the same. So the ancient coin die engravers didn't come up with these ideas on their own. There were already representations of similar art, and they simply imitated those. In art schools, art students are taught that they should be unique. Their ideas have to be original, and they have to come up with something that has not been done before. This is quite a challenge, and most of the time it's really difficult without really getting inspiration from anything. Coming up with an idea, you need to first develop a philosophy, and then you need to convert that philosophy into an image in your mind, and then you start crafting that image that you developed philosophically in your mind and put it in figures using whatever material that you want to use. So this is a very good example of aspiration from different art in art forms. And in Greek art, you see the same thing. Here I have some archaic sculptures and their reflections on ancient archaic coins. And I have more examples here, as you can see. So the coin die engravers didn't always have to come up with a concept themselves. They looked around and they simply utilized what they saw. Of course, there must have been some kind of an authority giving them this job, and there must have been some kind of a work order that they received that imposed on them to create a certain art. Of course, how they would put it on a coin die, that was their business. Just like you see here on a cos stator here. Yes, it's a discus thrower. And just as I explained, the coin die engraver used the space in such efficiency that even though the figure is a little bit off when it comes to the movement of a discus thrower, we get the idea and we don't feel really strange. We simply marvel the art the coin die engraver created on this coin. And also, after a certain while, they developed profile eyes, how to show the eye in profile. Those are really interesting concepts. And also, with the classical period, we see that they start to develop a narrative in numismatic art. So here you see a mythological story, young or baby Hercules strangling two snakes. And here a close discus thrower. This must have been an athlete who won some kind of a competition, and the city proudly displays that on the coinage. So they are giving a certain story after a while. It's just not a god or goddess. It's not how wonderfully a god or goddess represented or displayed or engraved on the coin, but there is a story too. And certain figures continued to appear on coins over the centuries. Here, from the 6th century BC or late 5th century, early 5th century BC, all the way to the 3rd century AD. The same figure, the same idea displayed differently over the centuries. You have female heads and busts represented on coins, and I just wanted to put them side by side for you to appreciate how the conception of female head changed. I don't want to use the word developed. We're not talking about improving, but changing the taste. Of course, you know, certain coin die engravers were more skillful than others. However, these are, you know, very good examples of the figures, female heads of their time. Even though you might think differently about the early period female head here on an electrum coin, the archaic way of representing a female head, a classical way of doing that, and Hellenistic period, Roman Republic, you can see the difference between Roman Republican and Roman Imperial period. So sharp. Of course, the later Roman representation would be a completely different story. From early on, we have legendary people's portraits on coins. This is the person, this is a coin from Sicyon in Macedon, Protesilaus, the Trojan War hero, the one who jumped off the ship first, even though he knew that he was going to die. He did that. And the city, after so many years, believing the story, decided to use his likeness on the obverse of their coin, and around the rim of the around the ball of the helmet, they put his name. So a descriptive type of coin, and on the reverse, the same figure in full figure on another coin, of course, from Thebai in Thessaly, represented. So these are all descriptive type of coins. There is mythology. The person who holds these coins in his hand knows about the story. From very early on, they decided to put the portraits of historical people, real people, rather than mythological, legendary people. Here in Mysia, in Mysia, Pergamon, you have Gongelos and Daskaleon Parnabasos. In Cilicia, an unknown satrap, most likely Mazaios. And here in Lycia, you have Mitrapata. And finally, again, another dynasty in Lycia, Pericles. Incredible figures with mannerism. For the first time with these types, you see that the manner of a human representation displayed on a coin. And then you have this mysterious and haunting looking female figure. So everybody knows Leonardo's work. And when people talk about the golden ratio, everyone uses the Leonardo's work. However, look at this coin. This is 4th century BC, Ferai boy in Thessaly. You have a veiled head of Hera facing, turned slightly to the left. There is a kind of necklace. The whale is very nicely represented. And on the reverse, you have Zeus nude, standing facing, head turned to left, holding thunderbolt and long scepter. Nothing extraordinary on the reverse, but the obverse is really reminiscent of the work of Leonardo. The same idea, but slightly more descriptive. Why? Because the figure is depicted from below, creating an upward look. The figure is more godly, gazing into the horizon. Again, quite descriptive. They are saying something. The person who holds the coin in his hand knows the story of the goddess and what this figure represented in their mind. So again, the golden ratio, the idea of the golden ratio was known to the coin die engraver, even though we don't really appreciate that when we first look at the coin without really examining it. Okay, Alexander the Great, powerful and confident. And you have here expressive. Why do I call it expressive? You see, look at the lips, they're open, he's speaking. So it's not a coincidence that the coin die engraver decided to display the head in this manner, because he is talking. And then here you have a completely different concept, royal personage, with very, very specific attributes. It is a godly and royal figure. And looking up, again, godly impression. When, for whatever reason, gazing up, gazing the sky, the heavens, meant something to these people, and they came up with the right skills to show it to us. Macedonian kings, the time of realistic figures. Look at the coin and the sculpture, the bust of Ptolemy I. And Antiochus III, the same. You can see the likeness, perfection of the likeness on small spaces. And for so many years, Cleopatra was thought to be as beautiful as Sophia Loren, until we discovered that she looked differently. Let's put it that way. And I think the best representations are on her coins. She looked quite different, but idealism, perfection was also there. And when the coin die engravers were asked to display their best, they did so. This is Cleopatra Thea and Alexander Ballas. Of course, they were idealized, but that was their problem. Cleopatra Thea was a cunning lady who managed to manage more than several or more than three kings. So she had to look presentable. And Septimius Severus, during the Roman period, when it comes to putting figures side by side, the coin die engravers knew what they were supposed to do, and they did that in the most perfect way. And even towards the end of the 3rd century, you have these three emperors side by side, and they were perfectly aligned side by side as displayed on this coin. And or here you see something similar on a coin of Ilis in Scythia. Heads facing with a complete sense of depth. Look at these. It's almost 3D when you look at them as a picture. Even as a picture, you can have this 3D sense of depiction of these facing figures. And 3/4 facing. This must have been one of the most difficult position of displaying the head. Yet bullet and they created, they attempted and they created. Again, here is another looking up figure. Geniform hats. We of course love these coins, and the art is very, very impressive. But when you try to create it yourself, it's really difficult. It's not so easy. How you seamlessly put them together with their hair intermingling, and the beard and the locks of the hair coming down, filling up the gap here is, I believe, quite a genius way of doing things. So the coin die engraver was a very, very skillful person. So on this one, you don't see that ingenuity as much as you see the one here. Yet this one was also created in such way that it doesn't look odd to our eyes. And then you have tricephalic heads, 3 heads. No matter which one you look at, you think that it can stand alone. And it doesn't look odd when you look at them individually. The one facing to the left, the one facing to the right, the one facing across, they all look the same. How did this person manage to put this figure on this coin? And those who don't know the size of this coin, it's only about 10 millimeters. It's such a small flan. Here is another one from Philistia, Palestine. So far I showed you examples from the Western Anatolian and Western Mediterranean, and in the mind of a lot of people, Greek art was supreme. Even though this was also from the Middle East, Samaria and Cilicia. And here is one from Philistia. Here you have, again, uncertain mint. Nobody knows from which mint this is, but you have two, one profile figure, one facing figure here, very clearly defined. And on the reverse, what do you see? Well, without really giving you too much trouble, you have outward facing confronted bearded heads of bass. So here, the faces of bass. But the interesting thing, even though it's not difficult enough to figure out what's going on here, the bass heads were given a line proton headdress each. It's just mind-boggling. This is not the same coin, but this is about this size of a coin. How did you come up with this idea, and how did you manage to put this on a coin die of this size? It's just unbelievable. Now, what do you see here? A head of a bull, right? When you look at it, it's an obscure coin. It's nothing really so interesting. But when you examine, you see a lot of things. I see a 3D effect displayed in the most perfect way. How the horn and the ear are simply going out of the frame. We have a frame, and the frame is in its way made in the most perfect way. But you see, it's rather not straight, and you might feel that it is actually the coin die engraver was not that skillful. Actually, that's not the case. The coin die engraver wanted to make sure that we feel this 3D effect in many different ways. He created another die, most likely the same guy, but it was much simpler, as you can see here. So I wanted to show these two to you so that you see the difference between the regular display and 3D effect at the same time. So slanting rectangle, also called parallelogram, gives more depth to the frame and brings the bull head forward. So that was really intentional. And also the coin die engraver was so meticulous in the way he created the frame. 7 dots here, or 7 pellets here, 7 there, and 7 here. So there is such symmetry, such mathematical symmetry. It is quite admirable that this could be done on a 10.5 millimeter space. And of course, during the same time period, you can see that certain dies were created by different artists. I don't want to compare. All I want to say that they had artists with different perceptions and varying levels of skills. Then you have this concept called neutral impression. Head of Aphrodite, left. Hair in ampix and spandone, ampix. And behind neck is her quiver, most likely here. And then she wears a pearl necklace. The face doesn't have any impression. That's why it is called neutral impression. And then you have classical idealism and perfection that goes beyond the neutral feeling, but creating a more expressive feeling. And then putting extra expressive elements, a certain degree of sensuality with open, full lips, as you can see here. Again, you have the golden ratio. Look at the nose-mouth area, how perfectly the area was aligned in such way that we see everything in perfect shape. And also two different depiction of the environment. On this one, as you see, the earring is flying. On this one is static. So the weather is calm here, and the weather is windy here. This was the detail that they could go into when it comes to displaying their artful skills. And here you have similar concepts, artful concepts displayed. The idealized figure, Antiochus IV Epiphanes, the same king, in this case, idealized and expressive, speaking, open mouth again. This person was really interested in ancient coin, well, not ancient in his time, coin die engraving. He would leave his palace, most likely in disguise, and would go to the market and talk to people. And he would also visit the mint and discuss with the mint masters. Other than Augustus, this is the only king that I know of, or based on historical writings, who really paid attention to his coinage. And he would discuss how his portraits should be displayed on his coins. Again, the way the legends are displayed or engraved show a certain degree of principle. You can see the family lineage during this period and how the family members are displayed. Kings of Pontus, look at this. The first one, King of Pontus, Mithridates III. Here, Pharnaces the first. And Pharnaces the first on a different coin. And Mithridates the fourth. And Mithridates IV and his wife, Laodica. And finally, a sister wife, Laodica, on another coin. So you can see how the family members were depicted, and you can see how similar they were as family members. And then here you have a remarkably realistic portrait of Mithridates VI, and here the idealistic portrait. They are equally attractive, but the idealistic one comes with a certain touch of artistic representation. Hairdos. These are incredible examples of hairdos. I'm not going to go too deep into these. Let's continue. Yes, there were skillful artists and not so skillful artists, and yet they managed to get employment and get their works used in some way. They simply observed and managed to reflect in their works the transparent drapery idea, as you can see on these examples. And, you know, when they don't have the skills, this is what it looks like. These are from the same city, Malos. On this one, it's obvious, very nicely depicted, transparent skirt. Here you see it in the most perfect way, and here again, most perfect way. But when you don't have the skills, you don't have the skills. Now let's talk about some public art on coins. This is a coin of Demetrius Poliorcetes, and on the reverse is the Nike we said it was displayed on the public space on the island, somewhat trace. And Tyche or Tuche of Antioch must have been represented in the city of Antioch. They found later Roman period examples, nothing from the 3rd century BC. However, it must have been something like this. And here is statues of Augustus and Claudius in Philippi in Macedon. And Apollo Sauroctonus, the lizard slayer, on the coin of Nicopolis ad Istrum in Moesia Inferior. The same figure in marble. It is after Praxiteles' original. And the Aphrodite of Cnidos by Praxiteles on a coin of the same city, Cnidos. This is interesting from Bithynia, from Prusias at Hippium during the time of Commodus, displaying Aphrodite. Nude, kneeling to right, head facing, and or actually head reverted, looking back, and with her right hand, she's dressing her hair, most likely, but in the most perfect way. She was displayed on a coin. And here is another example from a different city in Paphlagonia, Germanicopolis, Julia Domna, and in this one, the similar position, kneeling nude Aphrodite, dressing her hair, and Nike is reaching and scrubbing her back, maybe. And also in terms of public art, this is the Monier Plautius Plancus, head of Medusa on the obverse, and on the reverse, the story is by, as Pliny told, the brother of Plautius Plancus, Munatius Plancus, had dedicated in the capital a painting by the famed Nicomachus, and this was the Nike leading a quadriga. 4 horses displayed on a small flan. Monuments, Castor and Pollux the Dioscuri were represented on a medallion of Commodus. And Augustus. Everyone looks at this coin and they love it. The story behind is really interesting. After Actium, after seeing the artworks in Athens, he requisitioned from Athens 4 massive statues of cattle created by the sculptor Miron in the 5th century BC to decorate an altar within the temple of Apollo on the Palatine. So this was one of those. These bull statues were so famous that they were represented on the coins of the later emperors as well. When coin producers or manufacturers, mint employees created coins, they did certain things to beautify them. As you see, there is something happening to this coin, and it's quite common to see this deterioration of the surface. What is happening is really interesting, and it is nothing but a silver washing wearing off and showing the bottom. It is good silver. It's not bad silver. However, they wanted to walk the extra mile and wanted to make the coins look more appealing, more beautiful. And of course, over the centuries, sometimes these coins lost the thin layer of maybe finer silver, I don't know, but without losing that fine layer of plating, this is how the coin looks. And you can see that the same thing was done in other mints. I believe these coins were all created at the same mint. It's not that, you know, there were different mints in Aeolis and Ionia and in other parts of the Aegean. These all came from the same mint, most likely in Ephesus, if not in Pergamon. Coins as jewelry. We have reasons to believe that some of these coins were incorporated into jewelry during the ancient times, most likely during the period of these reigning emperors and empresses, and sometimes after that. As you can see, the art is the coin became or incorporated into an art piece in a different manner. And an incredible example of ancient coin ornamenting a kind of ball, a fiale, as you can see here. And there was a time when a guild of artists was formed, and they had the opportunity to strike coins on their own. The artists of Dionysus, approximately 155 BC, they were strong enough, wealthy enough to strike coins on their own. The Association of Dionysiac Artists in Ionia and the Hellespont was based in the city of Chios from at least 207 to 206, and they enjoyed a tax-free land grant from the city. When Chios passed under Attalid control after 188, the group at the Pergamon court called the artists of Dionysus Kedagamon merged with the Thean group to form the Association of Dionysic Artists in Ionia and the Hellespont and of Dionysus Kedagamon. This is the group that issued the unique tetradrachm here. I just checked the search engines, and it was sold 3 times over the years, and it is still a unique coin, unless there are other examples in museums and or private collections. And we're coming to the end. Optical trickery. You see, what do you see? 2 hats, 1 hat. When I look at it, I only see the face of a female figure looking to the left. I can see that there is another figure here, but this one stands out to me. I would like to have your opinion after the talk. When I photoshopped and deleted the one on the left, this is what I see. And when I look at the coin, this one stands out to my eye. And now I deleted or erased the one on the right, and this is what you have on the left. And this is a blown up version of the same. And the size of this coin, it's unbelievable. It's not the same coin. I don't have that coin, but this one is about this size. What kind of skill sets could one have to come up with this idea and put it in works? It's mind-blowing. And the same idea on a different coin, again, optical trickery from a coin in Lesbos, Mytilene. You have two confronted female hats, faces overlapping, and this is an electrum coin. This is a much better represented example. Again, they came up with this idea about the same size. These concepts, not directly, but in many different perspectives, were discussed in these books. I read The Craftsman in Greek and Roman Society by Alison Burford. It's a must if you're interested in ancient art. It's a very well-written book. And the book called Numismatic Art of the Greek World by Wayne Salas is another extraordinary example of learning how art is represented on ancient coins. Wayne himself is an art historian as well as a numismatist and antiquarian. So this book, a handbook, very easy to read, but a lot of valuable information. Art in Coinage by Sutherland is another extraordinary book. There is a lot to read and enjoy and learn. And finally, Ancient Coins Illustrating Lost Masterpieces of Greek Art. I partly read this book. It's good to have, and it's important to get the perspective of the numismatists about 100 years ago. So good reads, all of these books. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.